What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another preview stream for the big game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Liverpool this weekend. 4:30 kickoff on Sunday. A lot of big games this weekend, but this one, I mean, what was it? One win against Liverpool in 10 years?
I was shocked to find out that stat. We've beaten Liverpool once in 10 years, and that was that game at Wembley. But, you know, they've been so so incredibly tight, you know, throughout the years. So you would have thought that maybe we'd get more than one of them, but Liverpool seem to have just got the better of us. We've only beaten the Jurgen Klopp side once since he's taken over, and he's now in his 7th season. So doesn't fill me with much confidence going in this weekend. But we always seem to give him a good game. That's the thing. It's always a very close game.
Actually, I mean, looking at both games last season, I mean, we probably deserved to take 6 points last season.
At least, definitely the home game. Away game, yeah, I mean, probably should have won that, but they were on top of us for a lot of it. But the home game, the chances we missed in that game was a joke.
And when you're looking at that home game last season, it's a few similarities coming into it this year. I mean, two sides with a lot of injuries. You're going to see a much changed side for Spurs and for Liverpool coming into this game. And it was a very open game for them anyway, wasn't it? I mean, with a lot of chances, Sonny, but we're not going to have Sonny on the break this year. So.
And that's a big blow, like a very big blow, because he's our main threat when we come up against teams like Liverpool. So I'm worried for this weekend. I know Liverpool, you know, you can argue they're not in great form, and their away record. Have they not won an away game this season? Or they've had a very poor away record this season. So you could argue that goes in our favour, but I still think they're creating a lot of chances, and I think right now, the way we're playing, we need that pace in behind, and without Son, I don't think we have it, and I'm just worried we're going to get penned in too much. And their last two games, the opposition goalkeeper, the last two games that Liverpool have lost against Forest and against Leeds, the opposition goalkeepers have had mad games, and you can't rely on that all the time.
Well, it's time for Hugo Lloris to step up, but we have Stay from Red Men TV to come to speak to us about the big game this weekend. Let's bring him on. How you doing, mate?
How you doing? I'm good, boys. How are you? You well?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Obviously, gearing up for the big game this weekend. A lot has been made out of Liverpool so far this season with your injuries and your start to the season. 4 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses. But from the inside, what's been going on with Liverpool this season?
Similarly to Spurs, we're conceding too many goals, too many of the first goals in games, and that kind of gives you a mountain to climb. We've not really started the season with any form, so to speak, and you do wonder if that's the drop-off from going so close to sort of immortality in football terms to suddenly realising that, you know, whilst there's nothing wrong with winning the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, those are the 2 smaller of the 4 trophies we went for. So there would be a little bit of a natural drop-off, and then we've had some injuries and some players who are a little bit fatigued. So in that regard, not the start we were looking for. Some great results, and then some not so great results, as you guys have alluded to, with the losses to Leeds and to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, and I was looking at, I was talking about those games against Leeds and Forest, and on the face of it, obviously really poor results. But would you say Liverpool deserved the defeats in those games? Because, you know, Henderson and Meslier were probably the best players on the park in both of those games. So do you think maybe the results maybe overshadow some of the performances, or do you think you're getting what you deserve at the moment?
I can't really sit here and make an argument to say we deserve 6 points from both of those games. We did create chances, and Meslier had a good game, but if you actually look at the saves he made, with the exception of one very late on, they are saves you would expect a goalkeeper of Premier League calibre to make. Whilst we're creating the openings, we're not really being incisive with the final ball into the box and the chances that we're taking. So I couldn't sit here hand on heart and say to you, I thought we were unlucky not to go away with 6 points. I think in both of those games, and we'll get onto this with you guys in the Spurs game coming up, I thought in both of those games our midfield wasn't a factor in terms of controlling the game, and that's where we struggled. So, as I say, I'm not going to sit here and say I thought we were hard done to. I think those teams worked hard for what they got from those games, and fair play to them.
And when coming into this season, obviously Klopp did say in the summer how you needed to beef up the midfield. You have obviously ended up getting Arthur Melo through the door. He's had big injuries and haven't seemed to get him on the pitch. Is that where you seem to be really lacking this season? Is that where you see the flaws to be in the midfield?
Well, we went into the season with 8, including Artemelo, who was offered to everybody, and we seemed to take him for some reason. Obviously, now he's long-term injured, so it's not a factor. We definitely, as a fan base and as people who work in similar environments to me, wanted Liverpool to go and invest in the summer. And until Mbappe decided not to go to Real Madrid, Tchouaméni was definitely on the radar for Liverpool. And then Real Madrid changed their focus, and the opportunity to go and play in there with Camavinga and be part of the next Real Madrid team for 10 years for Tchouaméni was too big an opportunity for him. So we missed out on that one. And we do have a history of putting our eggs in one basket. And now we're firmly ensconced in this idea that we're going to sign Jude Bellingham sooner rather than later. So it was a bit remiss. I think every Liverpool fan you ever speak to will tell you that to go into a season with Thiago, Henderson, Fabinho, who are all injury prone, was not really sort of a recipe for a successful season in terms of we needed strength in there.
Talk to me about Klopp's 7th season syndrome. Is it a factor coming into this season as well? Is that just like a myth? Well, what's Liverpool fans' take on that kind of suggestion?
That's the first time I've heard it this year, so that tells you where we're at with regards to that. The Dortmund thing was very different to what the Liverpool thing is. We expected to compete this season, and I still believe we're very firmly in the top 4 race. Let's be honest, if Manchester City fall off a cliff, that's really the only way that they don't win the league. Arsenal have not done this before, and they don't have the knowledge and the wherewithal to get them over the line. Doing very well now, but there's things that happen in the season that haven't happened to those guys yet, and they will. So I don't think Klopp went into this season with any trepidation or any hesitancy about what we might accomplish. We've been very good over the years of losing to Real Madrid in a European Cup final, and forgive me, boys, mentioning it. We got there the following year and played you guys, and we
had to bring it up, didn't you? Had to bring it up.
I didn't do it for that reason. And then obviously getting 97 points and finishing second. He's very, very good at using adversity to get more out of players. And I just think we couldn't predict. I don't think we predicted particularly well how the rest of the teams in the Premier League would improve. More or less every team you play in the Premier League now has got powerful, athletic midfielders who will cause you problems, and they're intense. We've not been able to match that. I've long been saying on our own shows internally that in the middle of the park for Liverpool, we've been a bit lackluster, a bit dead in terms of having legs and athleticism and power. And I think it was evident from the Fulham game, first game of the season, that was going to be something teams would stretch you with. So, no, I don't think the 7-season thing comes into play. And if we do, and we're going to have to put our hands in our pockets in January, and if we make the right signings, I still believe we're very firmly in the race for the top 4. And ultimately now, given the distance between us and Manchester City, you have to realign your expectations, and that will be minimum now. Champions League football for Liverpool.
If you talk to a lot of Spurs fans, there would be questions of Daniel Levy and the hierarchy about how much they do back Antonio Conte and all the previous managers. To be honest, are there similar questions to maybe the Liverpool hierarchy at the moment with how much Klopp has had the backing after how successful he's been?
Well, to some degree, yeah. I think we've got 2 board members who sit on both FSG and Liverpool's boards, and they basically make sure we don't become the next Leeds United or do what Manchester United do, which is just amass a whole load of players who you pay hundreds of millions of pounds for without really having a plan, which is what they've been guilty of in recent years. So, yes, they could loosen the purse strings a little bit and maybe help invest in Liverpool Football Club. We don't know really, unless you sit and have a conversation with Klopp, we don't know really whether he put his hand up and said, I'm good to go with this, or he was quite resilient and quite determined to say, I need some support, I need some funding. We obviously bought Luis Diaz because you guys showed an interest in him, and we bought him in January, whereas he was supposed to be part of the summer recruitment. So if you look at Liverpool's last 2 transfer windows, Diaz at 50, Nunez at 64, rising to 80, Carvalho at sort of 10, that's well over £100 million worth of investment. That things definitely need to be put into perspective from a Liverpool fan base point of view when you talk about who's invested and who isn't. But January is big for Liverpool. If they really want to compete this season and make sure that they're got a really good shout at top 4, they have to invest in January, because to miss out, could probably set us back 2 or 3 years in terms of short to medium term targets.
And talking about the near future, obviously I mentioned the Klopp season syndrome. Is there any suggestion that his time at this at Liverpool might be coming to an end any time soon? Do you think?
No, because he's the most philosophical of men. He's not a guy that sort of wallows in the self-pity that social media brings. You know, we see a lot of that. You guys have got overreactive fans as well, you know, about Conte and his style of football. So you'll always get that, but I don't think he pays too much notice to that. He is very, very much sort of a man of the people. So we got given the freedom of the city 2 nights ago, so that tells you what we think about him. He's not looking. His agents come out and said, "Look, let's just put this to bed before it becomes a thing." Jurgen is not looking at bringing his tenure at Liverpool Football Club to an end. I genuinely believe it is in his own mind to sign players of a slightly lesser degree and turn them into the next Andy Robertson, turn them into the next Jordan Henderson, and nurture and develop players probably brings him more satisfaction than going and spending 150 million on Kevin De Bruyne, for instance, to use an example. He seems to gain satisfaction from developing footballers, and this is just going to be kind of Jurgen Klopp 2.0 in terms of where we go now with the squad, because it is aging. It needs to be revitalised. It needs to be refreshed. And I firmly believe he signed his new contract on the back of, I'm going to get to do this again with a different set of players.
And from your opinion, from maybe an outsider looking into Tottenham Hotspur with Antonio Conte, how do you assess Tottenham, and how far do you think we can go under Antonio?
So it's definite progression. I mean, in the recent time, you know, you very similar management style to Jose Mourinho in the sense that it's defensive responsibilities first, and then that's your cornerstone, and you build off that. I think, you know, you can't argue with top 3 in the Premier League and coming through the Champions League knockout and gaining knockout stage progression by winning your group. You can't argue with that. That is a positive. I think the thing that I see is that lots of Tottenham fans, having been spoilt with the players like Villa, Diaz, Hoddle, Gascoigne, have always had cultured footballers in the centre of midfield, and they still want that. But I guess the ultimate question to Spurs would be, do you want that as a trade-off to success? Because football's a results-based game now. It's not necessarily an entertainment-based game.
Absolutely.
So sometimes you have to sacrifice your footballing principles, because there's nothing better than seeing your team with a trophy at the end of the season. And I guess that's the big question for Spurs. Do you accept that Conte is a winner before he's an entertainer? Can you live with that? I had a conversation with somebody else yesterday that said it's actually quite a small sample size of Spurs fans that are really against Conte. But as I said before, your football heritage is about classy, silky footballers in the middle of the park, and today's football doesn't necessarily warrant that if you want to be successful.
Yeah, I agree with that. When it comes to one of your strikers, obviously you do have injuries, but Darwin Núñez it's hard to describe his start to life at Liverpool. Some call it mixed. Some saying he's a flop. Some saying he's really good. What's your take on your new striker?
Yeah, it's certainly interesting to watch. You can't take your eyes off him. He's capable of the sublime to the ridiculous. And when I talk about ridiculous, I mean doing things that you would expect him to be able to do, and he doesn't do them. And then the sublime being the bits of skill and some of the finishes that he's delivered. He's ridiculously quick. His movement is sensational. He will very, very quickly on Sunday decide which of the Spurs back four he's going to try and isolate. He's very clever at doing that. And his pace and his raw power is sensational. There's a player in there. There's a lot of work to do to get him to learn how Liverpool play, and for Liverpool to learn how he plays. It's very much a two-way street. There's still some work to do there, but his stats are pretty good. 15 games, not always starts. I think he's got 7 goals and a couple of assists. It's not quite the flop that people are suggesting he is. And if you compare his numbers to minutes on the pitch, he's actually got a better return rate than the much heralded Jesus over at Arsenal. His numbers are comparable to his. Yeah, one's a flop and one's a world beater. So, you know, I guess it depends which football eyes are looking at the player. But we think we like him. We think he's going to do good things for the club. The language barrier is a problem at the moment. He's still learning English every day. He's being instructed by the likes of Thiago in a tongue that he can understand. But he's got all the raw attributes to be a raging success, but there's still a bit of work to do with him.
With the injuries that you've got coming into this game, obviously Luis Diaz, Arthur Melo, Diego Jota, and potentially Matip, Keita, and Henderson as well. What sort of lineup are you expecting to see for Liverpool this weekend?
Well, Klopp's just done his press conference and an update on the injury. James Milner isn't available through concussion protocol from the game midweek.
Right.
But Jordan Henderson is fully fit and able to play. So
Right.
I think you'll see fundamentally in our midfield, it'll be like a double pivot with a player playing slightly more advanced on one side, almost an 8. And I expect that to be Fabinho, Thiago and Elliott to start the game. And then Henderson will come on and help manage the game towards the end. The difficulty for Liverpool is what we do up front. Do we go with Salah on the right, but Bobby Firmino through the middle, and we play Núñez off the left? That to a lot of people looks like a diamond because Bobby comes very deep to pick up the ball, and it's been misconstrued or being correctly construed as a midfield diamond, which I don't understand. I don't think I'd play Thiago on the left side of a midfield diamond. I just don't see how that works for a player of that ability. And in terms of the back four, I think you'll find that it'll be. Van Dijk, Konate, also Trent and Robertson as a back four with Alisson in goal. I don't think that changes. That picks itself, to be honest with you. So, that's done and dusted. The back four's done and dusted. It's how confident we are of playing up against your injuries, because I listening to you guys speak beforehand, and Son's a massive loss because every team gets at Liverpool down our right hand side of our defence. He would have enjoyed the space to play in. You may well go with a 3-5-2 to combat that because you just don't have the bodies. So I don't know what you guys do. I guess I could ask you, what do you think you guys will do team wise?
Yeah, I think we're going to go for a 3-4-3 to be honest. I mean, 3-5-2 actually worked for us last year, didn't it?
Yeah, but we don't have the strikers for a 3-4-3.
Well, we got more... I guess we don't, do we? We have to play 3-5-2 to be fair. We have to play 3-5-2.
Unless you want to put Perisic up there or Hill, but I don't see...
Probably 3-5-2 with Kane and Moore up front.
Yeah, that's what I see, and it's difficult, especially how Liverpool play. You know, they're going to put a lot of pressure on us. They're going to try and pen us in, and it's all well and good when you have players like Kane and Son as your outlets, but when you have one of them missing, it's a lot of reliance on someone like Kane exploiting the space, and he isn't much of a runner. So I don't know. I'm kind of worried about this game, but Trent suggested before the game that this game for Liverpool is a bit of a make or break in terms of you really need to get a result in this game if you're going to keep pace with the top four. Do you believe if you lose on Sunday that the top, like you'll be 13 points behind Tottenham if you lose on Sunday? I mean, obviously it's still quite early on in the season, but how much of a blow would that be to your top four hopes if you do suffer another defeat?
He's got a point. We can't afford to lose much more ground to the top four. With every game that we lose, potentially we slip that much further away from it. There are a number of games to recover the points. I think the World Cup is going to be a leveler for everybody. I think what we need to do, get to a point where we're still in the race for top four, come back from the World Cup, reevaluate who's available, who's not, and it'll be the same for everybody. I think Manchester City have got 14 players going to the World Cup, so Arsenal will be banking on a few of those coming back unfit. And I think that's the same for everybody. So I think the second half of the season, and we've never seen a season like this before because of the World Cup, will be really pivotal. We can't afford to lose, that's for sure. To be 13 points behind Spurs is that means we need some form of a result to go against Spurs and work for us over 5 fixtures. That's quite difficult to do. That's a big ask. It's not impossible, but it's a big ask. It's coming out of the realms of it being in our hands, and we're handing it over to other people to sort of give us opportunities to recover the ground, which is never a good thing so early in the season. So I think it's got a point, given your injuries and Romero not being fit, which is a big one. I think Liverpool go there to play on the front foot.
And having said that, how do you see the game going, and what's your score prediction?
I think both will be pragmatic to start with. It's been the story of the season for both of us, and that's the reason why I think we concede goals early on, both of us. I think there'll be goals. I'd like to think we'd edge it by the odd goal in 3. So I went for a 2-1 win to Liverpool yesterday, and I'm not going to change that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I actually went for 1-0 to Spurs. I think that both teams will. I think it'll be a bit of a game of chess on Sunday, and both teams are going to feel each other out in the first half. And hopefully, I'm banking on Spurs to be a bit resilient in defence with the 3 midfielders in midfield as well to really protect them. So I'm hoping for a clean sheet. I mean, it's more hope than actual anything else. But yeah, I've gone for a 1-0 Spurs win with Harry Kane to nick one from a set piece or something. I don't think there's going to be many goals in this one, to be fair.
Yeah, I went 1-1. I think it's going to be a close game. And I think both teams at the moment, the way we're playing, sitting quite deep, soaking up pressure, the way Liverpool are conceding chance on the counter, it does lead to a kind of battle of tactics. But I just believe with our forward players out, I think we're going to struggle to create, or when we do create, we're going to struggle to finish. And that's what I'm worried about. However, I do think from set pieces we're very strong this season. So I do think if we can get a few of them, then maybe we can get a goal from a set piece. But I see it being very difficult for Spurs to win this game, even given Liverpool's form.
But thank you so much for coming on today, my friend, to preview the game. Everyone go hop over to Redmen TV, bash that subscriber button. And yeah, just thank you so much for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me, boys. And I'd like to wish you luck for the weekend, but I can't really do that, can I? So best of luck for the rest of your season. I'll do that. Best of luck for the rest of your season.
And to you, mate. And to you.
Appreciate it, Stay.
See you soon.
See you in a bit.
So that was the great take from Stay from Redmen TV. Interesting stuff all said there. But I think it's time to get into our match preview for the game. We mentioned before, I mean, the form between Spurs and Liverpool coming into this game in terms of the head-to-head. Absolutely disgraceful. 1 win in the last 10.
Yeah, 10 years, not 10 games. 10 years, so 20 games. We do not have a good record against Liverpool. To be fair, if you look at those results, they're all pretty much, there was a 1-3-1 there, but they're all either draws or they're only losses, odd goal, and more often than not, that goal's in the last minute as well, especially at Anfield. So
I remember ones when Sonny's missed big chances, Bergwijn misses big chances at Anfield, Sissoko, Lo Celso as well. I mean, we have missed some big chances against Liverpool where those kind of misses have really swung the tie and swung the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so they've always been somewhat like close games between us and Liverpool, and especially under Pochettino. The games were very, very tight, and it was always toing and froing. Obviously, recently it's more been like Liverpool dominating and Spurs countering. And that's also led to some joy when it comes to Spurs creating chances. But things always do seem to go against us, one reason or another, against Liverpool. We do seem to miss big chances. You just have to look at the home game last season to see the chances we missed. It was actually becoming, like, near the end of the game, it was just laughable, the chances we were missing in that game. And we ended up only drawing 2-2, and we really should have won that game. So, look, by no means are we definitely not out of this game just because of our recent results. I just do worry. I do worry about this game, even with Liverpool's injuries, even with their poor form. I just think the injuries that we have and the way we're playing, I do worry that Liverpool are going to, especially when we have faced better teams as well this season, we have come unstuck. So if we can keep it tight against them and not concede too many good chances, then hopefully either from a set piece or from some counter-attacks we can get some chances. But I do feel like again, for example, like we did against Marseille, if we give Liverpool the amount of time and space we gave Marseille, they're going to hurt us more. And we've been very good at coming back this season. We've won more points than anyone else from losing positions. But if we press really intensely and try and suffocate Liverpool, is that going to work like it did against Marseille and maybe some other teams when we're losing? I don't know. I question that, and that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I feel like if we play our game and sit tight and catch them on the break, it's going to be difficult because we don't have those kind of runners on the break.
That's what I'm saying. That's the way to beat them as well. But the problem is we don't have the players to play that way. So I don't see.
Do you think not maybe like even a Brian Hill maybe can come in for this game, because he's the one who, he's full of running. He really is full of running, and maybe he doesn't have the quality and the physicality for the Premier League just yet. But in this one-off game, if we can, if he's the one that can break that trap, maybe it could work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not totally against giving him a go because I think he's a good dribbler right now. And maybe if he can get him in some one-on-one situations, maybe he can exploit Liverpool. I think Lucas at the moment is not playing too well.
The thing is with Lucas, though, he just never gets in those positions to get in behind. He's always looking for the ball to feet to dribble past someone.
Yeah.
He's never on that last shoulder like Sonny is and just, gets past that trap.
And you can argue Hill as well likes the ball to feet more than he does in behind. And that's a big problem. So I don't know how Conte combats that or what formation he goes with. I do believe we're going to go 3-5-2 just simply because of numbers. I don't see how... I don't see a front three of Gil, Lucas or Kane or even Perisic, unless he puts Perisic in there and plays maybe Session on wing back, which I guess is not beyond the realms of possibility. He might fancy just having, in a sense, two wing backs, maybe to combat Liverpool a bit, and then have Perisic on the break. But I think it is more likely that he will play the three in the middle with Basuma, Benteke and Højbjerg and try and dominate in that area because that could be a source of strength.
Unless he goes Kane up top, Perisic on the left and Moura on the right. He could do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he could have Perisic there and Session on the wing back and in a sense have two wing backs in a way, kind of be defensive but also have that ability that Perisic can be a winger. So he could do that, but I think maybe with Liverpool's weakness this season being in their midfield, maybe we have to try and use that as a source of strength for us. And if they're gonna dominate in some areas, maybe we can use the midfield for us to be a source of strength and have Basuma, because Basuma, Højbjerg, and Benteke right now are our best performing players, and they're probably our strongest players. That's our strength right now in midfield. So maybe that's what we got to utilise.
Yeah, let's just hope Bentancur is fit for this game because he was holding his hamstring as he was walking off in the last game.
Yeah, we have to see.
We'll have to wait for the press conference for that. But when you're looking at the form of the two teams coming into it, I mean, Liverpool's away form is absolutely shocking. 3 losses and 2 draws in their last 5.
So they haven't won an away game this season, have they?
I don't think they have. But when you're looking at, on the face of things, just performances and results in the last 5 games, it's not too dissimilar, the two teams. Spurs have got 3 wins and 2 losses. Liverpool have got 3 losses and 2 wins.
Yeah.
In terms of the goals scored and goals conceded, not too different either. Spurs with 7 scored and Liverpool with 5 scored and both with 6 conceded. Do you read too much into the... Well, first of all, what do you make out of this Liverpool form? And do you think it's solely down to injuries, or is there a bit more going on there?
I think there's a bit more going on because at the beginning of the season, they had a fully fit squad. As Stay commented, against Fulham, they had a fully fit squad and they weren't great, and they didn't lose, but they got a draw and they could have easily dropped points. I think when it comes to Liverpool, I think he was being a bit... I know he said he didn't believe that Liverpool deserved 2 wins against Forest and Leeds recently. Maybe they didn't, but I think he was maybe underplaying how many chances they did create. And if you were to pick man of the matches in both those games, I personally would have given it to the goalkeepers of the opposition teams. And that tells you that maybe, as of late, the luck hasn't quite been on their side. However, they are conceding chances, definitely on the breakaway. They're making sloppy mistakes at the back. There's no getting away from that. Joe Gomez doing a no-look pass across the face of goal, which is which got tapped in the empty net. Van Dijk was really suspect for that winner as well from Somerville. Even the Forest game, Forest had their chances on the breakaway. Alisson had to be in top form to keep the game at 1-0. So they are conceding chances. So there's definitely more going on than them just being unlucky. But they are also being a bit unlucky. Like Henderson and Meslier were unbelievable in those 2 games for me. So it wasn't just a case of they're struggling to create, but that's the problem for us, I think, because if we're not going to be able to create much, then we're still going to have to be on our A game defensively because they're not having trouble that much creating chances. And Salah's coming back a bit into form. I really like Núñez. For me, I know he's getting clowned on a bit sometimes, but I think he's really good. I think he's going to be a really good striker for Liverpool once he settles in a bit more. And Firmino's had a good start to the season as well. So there are definitely things to be worried about in this game for sure.
Yeah, you never would have thought coming into this point of the season, Firmino would have scored more goals than Mo Salah, which is unbelievable. Credit to Firmino for the way he stepped up this season, because the kind of narrative around Firmino was that he was done and he was going to move on from Liverpool.
Yeah.
And he's come back this season and he's been their best player almost in terms of output anyway. When you're bringing up the opposition, bring up the ones to watch. You got Bobby Firmino there and Mo Salah, 6 goals, 3 assists from Firmino. Well, I mean, a lot of those have come in just in 1 or 2 games though, haven't they?
One of them, yeah, I think he got 2 goals and 2 assists against Bournemouth, didn't he?
Yeah.
In one game. So that already
He scored a
9-0
hat-trick,
win.
didn't he, in one game?
He scored, I think actually might have been a hat-trick against Bournemouth. It might have been that. And then he scored against Arsenal though. But I think, yeah, it's kind of been spread, not over that many games, to be fair.
Yeah, and if you bring up the lineup, obviously there is flaw. I mean, a lot has been made out of Trent this season about how defensively good or not good he is. Do you read too much into that?
No, I think there are genuine criticisms you can have of him. I think defensively he has been really bad this season, but I don't think it's just been him. I think the whole team have been suspects. So I think he gets lumped in as the main guy because there's a lot of focus on him. But
do you think it's like maybe the protection of the midfield is not too much there anymore as what it used to be?
Definitely that's a factor as well. 100%. The midfield is not protecting Trent in covering the space because we always know he's always liked to get very far forward. Trent, he's been one of the best wing backs or fullbacks in the league for a number of years with his output. So I think it's only right he gets forward a lot because his crossing ability, you want him in those forward positions as much as possible. This season, it's interesting because his output hasn't been. I don't think he's got many assists, but like he's still putting in really good crosses and stuff. He's still making some really good passes, but but when they're not making use of them, if they're not getting the goals from those crosses, all of a sudden it becomes a bit of a liability.
1 goal and 0 assists this year for Trent.
Yeah, which reads really badly, but if you actually watch him, his passing is still really good. He still creates good chances. They just haven't been exploiting them as much as they have in previous. But if he's creating like 10 chances or something and they're not scoring, he's still that defensive liability. So then all of a sudden he becomes a bit of a liability if we're not converting the chances he's creating. But the problem is with us is, do we have the players to exploit him? And without Son, you can maybe argue Perisic is there, but you could argue Trent can exploit him as much as he can exploit Trent. So it's a difficult one. Without a real player on that left-hand side for us, I don't see how I reckon we can exploit it occasionally, but I don't see how we make it a constant source of
that might
joy.
be what you were saying before. We're playing Szczesny on left wing back and Perisic on the left behind Kane. That could be a source where we can frustrate Trent because, we'll have 2 options there. Sessegnon, we know, likes to get in those spaces, and that will create maybe even more space for Perisic to get in.
Yeah, so that's definitely one thing to consider. I definitely would consider that, playing Perisic further forward, just to... And maybe it might do 2 things. It might offer us a bit more defensive solidity, and it might as well allow us to find a bit more space out wide. So it could do that. Then the problem is... the midfield, central areas, you risk getting because they got good technicians. Thiago, Fabinho, Elliott, very good technical players, and I feel like when we've come up against a bit more technical quality, that's when we get a bit more overrun. It's not necessarily when we come up against powerful runners. It's more about the technical players who can find the good progressive passes in spaces. That's what I'm worried about.
The problem is that in a 3-5-2, I just can't see us being able to exploit their weaknesses as much
Without
as we
Son.
can in the 3-4-3.
I think with Son, I think it's a no-brainer. You go 3-5-2, but without him,
that's
difficult.
what I'm saying.
It's difficult.
Son's out the question because he can't play whatever happens. But
I know.
What I'm saying is that even without Son, I still think we can hurt them more in a 3-4-3 if you were to play Perisic and Sessegnon on that left-hand side. Because if you play in a 3-5-2, then we're so focused on the middle of the park. What we're going to have 2 wing backs in probably Perisic and Emerson.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's enough to constantly hurt them because I think the Perisic, when he goes forward, he'll leave too much holes in behind him.
I see us either way having struggled, to be honest. I think you might be right. I think we're probably going to be more of a threat in a 3-4-3. I still don't see. I still think we're going to be penned back quite badly, even in a 3-4-3, and we're still going to have to counter. We might be more lethal on the counter, but the one positive I can say is that even if we are getting penned back, if we can find some opportunities to get set pieces, then we can be a good source of goals for us. So we've shown that. We've got 9 goals already this season from set pieces, which is
get Kane
more than any other.
Backing into defenders again.
Yeah, just hold up, get corners, get set pieces. And I wouldn't even be surprised if we get like 1 or 2 goals from set pieces if we can get enough of them, because we've been very strong from set pieces this season. So even if we are struggling to create a chance from open play, it's still not the be-all and end-all, because we still have those opportunities from set piece if we can get them. The problem is if we don't get ourselves in many situations to get them, then we can get penned back. So I think I do find it very difficult to see us winning this game from many angles. I think even though Liverpool are not playing great, I still think they're playing well enough to create chances against us, and they're still defending in a way which is going to make it difficult for us to get out, especially without that pace in behind. However, whether we go 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, if we can either get set pieces or find people like Perisic, Lucas, or even Kane in the correct spaces, then Liverpool are definitely defensively open enough to create some chances. But I just see us finding it very difficult on Sunday. I really do.
What do you make out of Mo Salah? Because obviously been one of the best players in the Premier League for a number of years now. Second half of last season, flattered to deceive a bit, didn't keep up with what he was doing in the first half of the season, which was unbelievable work. Did get, obviously, the shared golden boot last year with Sonny. This season as well, he hasn't really hit those heights. I know he's come into a form of late and got that hat-trick against Rangers and what have you. But what do you make out of Mo Salah?
I just think he's going through a bit of a dip over the season. I think we've seen it before from him.
It's been a while now, like last half of the season last year as well.
Yeah, it's true, and obviously he signed the contract in the summer and things haven't really improved. But I think it's a bit. I wouldn't put it all on him like this. I know his dip's not been going great, but I remember as well, in that season, when Liverpool had loads of injuries, he also wasn't great that year either. And he obviously clocked up with the goals in the end, but once Liverpool got the injuries back. But he was also going through some poor form during that season. So I don't think you can put it down to much more than a bit of poor form. He obviously, I think, in the first half of last season, that might have been the best Mo Salah we've ever seen. He was that good for those few weeks, for those few months. He was unbelievable, and he has dropped off since then. But I don't think it's something that we've seen the end of Mo Salah or anything like that. I think he'll come back into it, and I think once Liverpool become a bit more functional as a team, you'll see a better Mo Salah.
Are we seeing the Mo Salah come back now though? Because it's like 7 goals in his last 7 games.
Yeah, I think he's starting to. You're already seeing improvements. I still don't think he's as good as he was last season at times yet, but he's definitely coming back into form. And it's a bit like you saw from Kane, like 6 months he was terrible, Harry Kane, when he just couldn't hit a barn door and he wasn't getting chances. And then once we became a more functional team, you saw a more functional Harry Kane. And I think you'll probably see something similar with Mo Salah. And I don't feel like he's not playing great, but I think you can put that on a lot of players right now with Liverpool. I don't think he's the only one. So just to focus on him, I don't think would be fair on him. But you're right, he hasn't been on. Yeah, it's been a year now, or nearly a year, where the form hasn't been great. But you probably look at his goal return over that year. It's probably not. It's not. I would say it's probably not as good as we used to, but he probably still hits okay figures, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you're talking about 4 Premier League goals this season in 12 games. Last year, obviously, he got Golden Boot with 23.
But he can go on a run of form and hit the Golden Boot again. Like you wouldn't even.
Well, I doubt it this year.
Well, okay, maybe with Haaland, but you wouldn't even be surprised if he still hits 20 goals a season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's going to be a very interesting battle this weekend at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. How do you see it going, and what's your score prediction?
I just see it being a very difficult game for us. I think with injuries right now, I think the squad's quite depleted. I think Liverpool, as much as they're not playing great, I still think the teams who have beaten them, they've usually played at their best to get the result against them, and even then, their goalkeepers have had to be very on top of their game to get the result. So I wouldn't be blinded by some of their poor results to think that we can easily get a result on Sunday.
A lot of games though. I mean, they've only won 4 out of their games this season. They've drawn 4 and lost 4. So that's 8 games that they haven't won.
And they haven't won away, and that's absolutely right. So that's not to say that they're on great form, but I wouldn't look at that poor form and think because they haven't been getting results, that it definitely means we're definitely going to get a result on Sunday. That's what I would say. I still think they're playing better than most people think, albeit they probably don't deserve to be in top 4 right now, but still they're not maybe as bad as their position states. So I still see it being a very difficult game, and I think our best chances are going to come from set pieces. But I do think we're that good at set pieces that we can get some goals from there. So I think I said 1-1. I'm going to stick with that prediction. I think we'll get a goal from a set piece, but I don't think we're going to be good enough defensively to keep a clean sheet. So I've gone for 1-1.
It's actually mad when you're looking at Liverpool in the table, right? They're 9th and we're 3rd, but yet we've only scored 3 more goals than them and they've let in 1 less goal than us. So in terms of that sense, I mean, it's not too different, and they're sitting in 9th and we're sitting in 3rd, but they do have a game in hand, let's be honest, but still a big gap. And if we can win this weekend...
That'll be massive.
If we can win this weekend, if we do win this weekend, do you think that...
it's a hammer
how hard
blow.
do you reckon it will be for Liverpool to finish above us?
I think it's a hammer blow if we win. It's not fatal, but it's a massive hammer blow. I know it's only early on, but when you're dropping results like they are at the moment, and you've got a 13-point gap, even with the game in hand, where right now clearly there's no guarantees they're even going to win that game in hand. I'm not sure who's against, but there's no guarantees. That makes it so difficult to put yourself back. Well, wouldn't necessarily say top 4 because they'll still be behind Newcastle, but to challenge that top 3, it makes it like almost out of reach. But not to say that they can't overcome it, but especially a team like Liverpool who are known for going on long stretches of wins, like when backs against the wall. But 13 points, that's getting close to insurmountable. It's getting close to it.
I think we had it a couple of years ago, didn't we, where they had a dreadful start to the season, and then they ended up getting top 4 with that Alisson header right at the end of the season.
Yeah, they clawed their way to top 4.
I mean, the gap wasn't too dissimilar to that, was it?
Not from us, maybe to top 4.
No, not to us, but I'm just saying to where they wanted to be.
I can't remember. I remember they obviously had a terrible first half of the season. They were losing many games, and they lost like 3. Well, they lose like 4 or 5 games in a row at Anfield or something, didn't they? And so that was really horrific. And then they got a lot of their injuries back, and they went on a late winning run late in the season. They clawed it away. So I agree, but I think that also the Premier League's a lot more competitive than it was then. You got to remember back then, Man City had the league, but we had Mourinho. Arsenal was really struggling under Arteta. I think Chelsea just sacked Lampard and only just brought in Tuchel, so things weren't going well for them. Man United under Ole, they were okay. I guess they finished second, but no one was really convinced by them. So now it's a different playing field. And Newcastle were under Steve Bruce. It's a different playing field now. We're fully there now under Conte. Arsenal are up there with Arteta. United and Chelsea are turning it around with Potter and Ten Hag. So it's going to be a lot harder to claw it back now than it was then, for sure.
Well, it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup. My brother's going 1-1. I'm going to stick with my 1-0, more with my heart than my head, but I need to see 3 points this weekend. We need to beat Liverpool for the second time in 10 years. Come on, guys.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think we've got the players that we can do it, and I think the form of the 2 teams coming into it, obviously we're not on great form, but we have started to pick it up a little bit of late with 2 last-minute winners. So I think Spurs players should go into this with a little bit of confidence and a little bit about them, thinking that they should and can get the job done at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where we've been really strong this season. There's no two ways about it. Apart from that Newcastle game, we've won every other game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So let's keep that run going. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Spurs. Like I said, my brother's going 1-1. I want to see your score predictions in the comment section below. And that is your match preview. But let's quickly get on to BetMate just before we end the match preview. There's a £1,000 pot this weekend, £5 entry. Obviously, it's a really fun to play fantasy gaming app where you can win real money, and you can get a free £5 as well if you use our promo code WATTV5. The way it works is very similar to FPL, Fantasy Premier League. The only difference is they give points for defensive action, so it's really important to have those kind of players in your team if you think they're going to be doing lots of tackles and interceptions and stuff like that. But let's get into the teams. In my team, I've gone for Hugo Lloris in goal. Seeing as I said Spurs are going to win 1-0, I had to go for Lloris in goal, to be honest. In my defence, I've gone for Ivan Perisic and Clement Longley, the two players that could be dangerous for us in terms of output. Obviously, Perisic, he's danger from any set piece, and that's where we're going to be most dangerous this weekend. Clement Longley have been pretty good the last couple of games, and I've gone for him in there because I think that with his ball-playing ability, he can really feed our front line, hopefully. I think it would be more of a case if Son was playing, but hey-ho. In the middle of the park, I've gone for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg as captain because he's going to have to be right at it if we're going to win this game, and I'm expecting him to have a strong game as he has done in previous weeks. I would have gone for Rodrigo Bentancur, but it remains to be seen if he's fit or not. I guess we'll have to wait for the press conference, and I might just stick him in there if he is fit. I've gone for Thiago Alcantara alongside him. He's been quite strong of late, getting quite a few interceptions and tackles in the middle of the park, and he also has got the technical ability to get some points going forward, albeit he doesn't get too many, to be honest. But up front, I've gone for Harry Kane and Mo Salah, who I think can both easily get on the score sheet. So that's my team.
I've gone for Hugo in goal just because I think he's probably going to make more saves than Alisson. With Liverpool having lots of pot shots and shots from outside the box, I see him making a few saves. Trent and Perisic in defence, both of them take a lot of set pieces. And I think Perisic as well, for sure, could be getting a lot of joy from set pieces on Sunday, so I've gone for them too. In midfield, I've gone for Højbjerg and Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott's been playing in midfield a lot for Liverpool recently, and he's a good technician in there, but he also does make a few tackles, so I've gone for him. And obviously Højbjerg, if we play a 3-5-2, he could be the one who might be able to step up and get a goal for us, charging forward from midfield. So I've gone for him. And up front, I've gone for Kane and Darwin Núñez up front, because I think if we're sitting back, I actually think he's going to be the most likely to get a goal with his physicality and strength in the air or something like that, rather than someone like Salah, who we can crowd out a lot more easily. So I've gone for those two up top with Perisic captain.
All right, so that is our BetMate. You've got to be in it to win it. So go download the BetMate app. Use our promo code WATTV for a free £5 for you guys. And come and take us on this weekend. It's going to be good fun. I've been really enjoying playing this game, and long may it continue. So that is our match preview. And just before, actually, we've got a message from Grandpa. He is going 2-1 to Spurs.
Big up, Grandpa. I hope he's right.
You'll get to see him on the vlog this weekend, and hopefully you'll get to see him call in a few minutes. But that is our match preview. Sim's going 1-1. I'm going 1-0 to Spurs.
And before we start getting callers on, there's also one other thing I want to ask a few viewers before. I want to ask every viewer before we get on, and that's Conte. Conte marked 1 year at Tottenham this week. Obviously took over early November. So I want to ask all the viewers who come on. I want rate Conte's first year in charge at Spurs out of 10. I want to know what people's thoughts are. I give Conte's first year in charge, I think I'll give him a 9, to be honest. I mean, what more can he do? He dragged us to Champions League last year, unbelievably. This season, he's got us in third and through the Champions League group. So if you're talking purely from a results-based standpoint, I mean, unless you want him to be top of the league, it has to be a 9 out of 10, pretty much. He's kind of done too much. The only thing you would say about us right now is our style of play, and we haven't, and a lot of performances haven't been maybe up to scratch. But I also feel like if you look at our playing squad, not to say we have an awful playing squad, it's good, but I think he's getting more out of it than maybe a lot of other managers would in terms of results. We should really, in our squad-wise, we should be in a lot more of a
Dejan Kulusevski's in the squad this weekend.
Oh, we heard he might be in the squad this weekend.
Give me.
And that is massive.
From Sweden.
That is massive. All right, we're winning this weekend. 3-1.
Scrap the
preview, people.
We are winning this weekend. That's actually great news. That is great news because we need him. And now I do think we're going to go 3-4-3.
Yeah.
I think we will now.
Now you think we're going to win the game? You're giving a revised prediction now.
Potentially, because that really makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. Anyway, just quickly, but going back to Conte, yeah, I think I'll give him a 9 because results-wise, he's done more. He's done what more can he do results-wise?
So if
I think he's done
any
brilliant.
more, then why not a 10?
Because we're not top. So what can we do? What
But I
can
mean,
say?
can you really expect him to get
I'm
us
not
top?
expecting him to be top, but we should be in a lot more in the dogfight right now for top 4 than we are. Like, we've put ourselves in a really good position, top 4 wise. Obviously, we're still in the dogfight, but like, we should probably be around 4th, 5th, like with how we're playing and maybe the squad wise. And the fact he's got us to this position where we're in a very strong position in 3rd. And we're through in the Champions League, and he got us to the Champions League in the first place with the tools that he had available and the transfers we made as well. He's done quite well there. So I think I'd give him a 9. What would you give him?
Yeah, I mean, I would say between 8 and 9. I don't really know what more he could have done, to be honest. Getting us top 4 last year was... We had no right to get top 4 last year when Conte took over the club. No right whatsoever. Yeah. We got there. Not only that, but we trumped Arsenal to it and put them in the mud at the end of last season. We've started this season. I think that the football... I've been a bit disappointed that he hasn't been able to kind of get us playing that flowing football that we were playing at the back end of last season. I've been a bit disappointed in that, but I don't think he's been helped by the hierarchy of bringing in what we needed to compete really for this year. So I think that Conte is doing exactly what... I think he's actually overachieved since he's been here, to be honest, and you can't really ask for much more than him. So I think that you've got to be really happy with Antonio Conte. And for the fans who don't like Conte and don't like the style of football and blah, 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 like, you're not going to get a better manager than Antonio Conte through the door at the end of the day. And for those clamouring for Poch, I mean, do you really want to go? It's a step backwards going to Poch. So you gotta give respect to Antonio Conte and the job he's done since coming in through the door here, because it's been nothing short of sensational, and I think there's still a lot more to come as well. So I would say between 8 and 9, like 8.5. I would say
8.5. All right,
decimals. Otherwise, you're a rookie. You know what I mean?
I'll give him 9.1.
9.1. All right, big up. All right, so that's great news hearing that Dejan Kulusevski is
it's really good news, to
play. And what's also good about Deki as well is that he's not going to the World Cup, so he's going to be fully refreshed as well.
Yeah, there's no reason not to risk him, if you know what I mean. Like, because if he does pick up a injury, he can have time to recover from it. Obviously, they don't want to. Obviously, not going to want to risk him, but like, if there's a bit of a risk to play him, it might be worth it. So massive news, and let's hope that there's more good news. Conte's press conference is in 2 minutes, so we're going to hear some quotes probably in around 20 minutes, half an hour. So let's hope there's good news on the rest of the injury front as well. We heard that he wasn't going to play Kulusevski on Tuesday with a view of him maybe being fit for Saturday. So glad that turned out to be true.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start getting your callers on. Let's start off. We're not bringing on KPV first, are we? Surely not. You right, KPV?
Yeah. And I hear my mate is back for Liverpool game. Get in, we're winning 3-1. Yay!
Celebrating already, Kyle.
Don't celebrate too early, Carl.
Oi, oi, mister. Watch what you're saying about Kulusevski, brother. Less of that.
So, what are you thinking about the lineup and the formation going into the game on Sunday?
Gonna be tough, I think. Formation, I wouldn't mind that. Like, what formation is he gonna play, the gaffer?
That's what I'm asking you.
It doesn't matter what you say. I'm probably happy with it. Like 3-5-2 or something, 3-4-3. It doesn't matter. I'm happy with it. We'll just smash them up. Like, it's time to beat them for the first time in 10 years, man. Like, The last time we beat these lot was at Wembley 4-1. Kane got 2, Dele Alli and Son got 1, but that was the last time we beat them, and that was under MP Pochettino, and that was the last time we beat them. So I want to win. I don't want to draw. Sim's gone for a draw. Change it, Sim.
I'm
Change it.
changing it, Kyle. I'm changing it. Don't you worry. Kulu has given me the hype thing now. Come on. We're going to win. We're going to win.
Yeah, we're going to win.
Kyle,
And-
what's I want to know what your rating for Conte is on his first year in charge out of 10.
Well, since people are not going to rate him higher, I'm going to give him 100.
100 out of 10.
Wow.
What a performance, Kyle.
Yeah, 110. But his first game was against Everton, weren't it? And we drew that time. But big, and he has Klopp's number. Klopp's only beaten him once, and Conte's only beaten him once and drawn 4 times. But he has Klopp's number. Liverpool
Sounds like
not
they got
doing
each
great.
other's numbers saved in their phone book.
Yeah, but Conte's lost once, and he's been Klopp once, and Klopp's only won once, and that was when those lot from West London won the title. So, but it's time to batter these lot. I went for 4-1 because
You
we've
said
beaten that
3-1 a second ago.
Yeah, 3-1, but I'm gonna double your odds and say 4-1. If
That would be
if Kane
6-1.
scores a hat-trick, we'll treble your odds. So what are the odds on Kane scoring a hat-trick? Because he loved the goal in this fixture. Son is going to be out, but yeah, Hill, Benteke's Bentancur masterclass in this game. Højbjerg actually scored in this game too. Last year, January 2021, not this year. It was last year. We lost 3-1, no fans, but time to right those wrongs, batter these lot. They'll be 13 points behind us, and there's no top 4 for them. So let's just smash them up, and I'll be happy because I've got a few mates to support Liverpool, and I've got a friend who supports both teams, Tottenham and Liverpool. I've got a friend.
Nice.
So who does he want to win?
Who does he want to win? He'll probably want Liverpool to win, but I've got a friend called Luke who she's a Liverpool fan, but she's going to be busy tomorrow because she's going to a party. But I wound Andreas up after they lost to Leeds, but this weekend they're getting fat. Just no, and watch and learn. And before I go, lad, I set up a league you need to join. I sent you the code already. Check our Instagram group chat. It's in there. I sent it to you. So, I called it Champions League Night at White Hart Lane. So, I've already set it. Dermot's in it. And so, join. And you're getting destroyed, you two. I'm going to beat you lot. So, whoever gets the most points needs to do a forfeit. So, just bring it.
All
Big
right,
up
Carl.
KPV. Always great to talk to you, my
discuss
friend.
it.
We'll see you next time.
Nice one, Carl.
Yeah, don't forget to join my league, boys. Don't forget to join. I sent you the code.
All right,
Big up.
nice one, Carl.
That was KPV, everyone. Do we have anyone else? Look who we got next. Spurs Debate TV. Let's bring him on. How you doing, Josh? On mute again?
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
I can
All
hear
good,
you. I
all
can
good
hear
now.
you.
I'm back again, man. What's going on? It's echoing, so I don't know if that's someone else playing YouTube.
Well,
hear
if
me?
anyone's in the back end, if they can mute themselves, that would be great.
What's going on, man?
Is it still echoing?
Can you mute him? Why not?
I can. It's echoing, lads, but make it. Just
you make
about
it
make
work?
it happen. Yeah, we'll make it work. There's about 10 of us in this conversation. But yeah,
Is there
we'll
a lot
make
of
it
people
work.
in the back end waiting to come on, is there?
No. There's you're echoing, and then Sim's echoing, I'm echoing, so it's all good, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, talk to me about your thoughts coming back into the game. Obviously, big news. Dejan Kulusevski back in the frame for the game.
That is huge news, guys. Whether he's going to start or not is questionable, isn't it? Because we don't want him to start and then limp off, and is he even match fit? So I don't know if we want to throw him in too early. So I would say not to get too excited about that. Bring him off the bench. But yeah, good news, lads. Good news. It's an option, isn't it? Because we ain't got many options with Sonny out and Richarlison out. So I think it will give us a plus. But off the bench, I don't think he'll start. But if he starts amazing and he doesn't get injured, amazing, mate. Brilliant.
Well, with
Then we can-
Kulusevski not going to the World Cup, could we afford to maybe put a slight bit of risk on it? Just even if he does pull up, he have a bit of a break to come back, or is it just a case of even if there's any risk at all, you don't start him?
I think it's about winning these two games, isn't it? And obviously we've got the League Cup as well, which might be an opportunity for him to get minutes. But look, we need to win these next 3 games to finish off all this kind of doubt about whether Tottenham can beat big teams, can deal with the pressure. So for me, it's about points, guys. But look, we've got to keep one eye on Kulusevski being fit and ready for when we're back after the World Cup. So it's a difficult one. And I feel like the medical team will not take risks on the basis that we've got too many injuries. If you had a fit Son and a fit Richie, you might think Kulusevski, you could say take time. We don't need him. But the fact we don't have those guys, the pressure's on, and we might get desperate. But I think the medical department will know what they're doing with that. And I'm sure Kulusevski will be honest enough to say if he's not fit. I think he's quite a good professional. And I think he's quite a mature guy as well, the way he speaks, the way he handles himself. So I think it gives us an option, guys, and it gives us the 3-4-3, doesn't it? Because it gives us a genuine winger up top with Lucas Moura involved or Brian Hill involved or Perisic involved. So good news, guys. Positive, man. Positive. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I wanted to...
Yeah, go on.
I was going to mention something which I was looking at yesterday, actually, which is quite interesting. So I was looking at some stats from our high pressing this season versus last season. Now, obviously, we haven't done a full season. So, we'll see what happens over the next, 6 months or whatever, 5 months. But we are pressing less than last season, which is not good. Also, we're deeper by 1 meter to 1.5 meters on our defensive line compared to last season. Now, obviously, Nuno started and then Conte came in and then January we're flying and we're probably, playing the best football we've seen in a couple of years, 2-3 years. So my worry is against Liverpool, who press a lot higher than us on the same stat compared to their last season and this season. But Liverpool have dropped slightly on their defensive line. Actually, they've dropped a lot more than us. It's about 2.5 meters on average. So Liverpool are they're pressing as hard as last season. We're not pressing as hard as last season. We've dropped a little bit in our defensive line. They've dropped a lot more in their defensive line. So what you've got with Liverpool is that they're still hustling at the top end of the pitch. But because they've dropped deeper with their defensive line, there are gaps in midfield, which is where teams are getting opportunities. So for me, this is crying out, and I know people probably don't want to hear this, but I think this is crying out for a 3-5-2. And I would go with that. I would go with Bissouma as the DM, and I'd go with Pierre and the men of the moment, Pierre and Benson. I'd have them joining the attack, obviously as and when when the opportunity presents itself. Because Liverpool in midfield are losing the battle. That's the problem. Now, obviously, you can add to that poor finishing. And they're slowly, their away form's been shit in the Premier League. Their European form's been pretty good. But I wouldn't go with the 3-4-3, lads. And then what I would do is if we're, 20 minutes to go and we want to take the initiative, we've got the home fans backing us, switch it to a 3-4-3, bring on Brian Hill alongside Moura or Kulusevski. But I wouldn't go with the 3-4-3, lads, because Liverpool are losing in midfield when you look at the difference between this Liverpool and the last Liverpool.
Oh, that's fair enough. I wouldn't be totally against that. In terms of, we're asking all the callers today from Antonio Conte. He had marked his first year in charge this week, in charge of Spurs. How would you rate Conte's first year out of 10?
I'll probably go with you, Sim. It's high. I wouldn't go 9. I think there's times when he's probably made... If there's halves in this, it's 8.5. It's not just a 9, man. I might sound a bit pedantic, but it's like between an 8 and a 9. I'm not sure it's a 9. The reason I say that when Conte came, we had this expectation that obviously he was going to get the best out of the mediocre players, or the players that weren't playing as well as we thought they could. And he did. He improved Davis, he improved Dyer, he's improved Sessegnon, Benny and PH, brilliant. So you've got to give him credit for his coaching. His management has been pretty good. He's, been a bit stubborn with the system. So I notch him down on that. He's been a little bit stubborn with subs. But he's experimenting more, and I think he's letting go of his Italian, and he's becoming a little bit more like Spurs. Maybe he's becoming Spursy in the right way. So I would say, to give him a 9.5, 10, I would have expected him to make some of the decisions he's made recently earlier, but we haven't had the personnel available as well. So he does deserve sympathy for that. But I did expect Conte's Tottenham to press higher compared to last season. Like I said to you, the stats are the opposite. And I'd expected us to go a bit more man for man, like Kane was saying in the second half, and have a bit more confidence and a bit of that Conte's winning mentality. But we are showing winning mentality, lads, because we don't know when we're beaten. And neither does Conte or the opposition at the moment. We just keep going. And I love that about Tottenham. We just keep going. We don't know when to give up. The problem is if we go 2-0 down against the top team, and if that was to happen on the weekend, have we got enough in the tank to pull 2 or 3 goals out the bag if the opposition team just sit back and say, beat us? I'm not sure we've got the penetration to do that when the opposition team sits back. When they're attacking us, yes, we can catch them. And hopefully Liverpool will fall for that. They'll come, try and press us up high. We'll defend well enough and then do what Tottenham do, which is, 3-4 passes and go for it. But the worry is, chaps, that if we have individual mistakes or we let in a couple of goals, have we got enough in the tank to come back and win or get 2 goals back? So I think this weekend is huge because people have been saying Tottenham can't beat the bigger teams. And we haven't. Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Newcastle now as well at home. So this is like a statement fixture. Obviously, we want to put Liverpool at the top 4 race, properly put them behind us. And we need to catch Arsenal because if we lose and Arsenal win, then, that could be Arsenal, that could be St. Tottenham's Day. That could be St. Tottenham's Day coming up. So, 12 points if they win their game in hand as well, whatever it is. So huge, huge, huge fixture, lads. And I just hope Tottenham don't go too deep. But I am wary of Salah and Nunez and Firmino, catching us if we don't stay compact. It's a real difficult one, and it's a game of chess, this one. It's not an easy one where you say, just go for it and let's beat them. It's not Bournemouth. It's not a mid-table team. This is a chess match. And I'm going to go 2-1 because my heart says 2-1. But I know my head would take a 1-1 as well at this point.
All right, big up, Josh. Hopefully we'll be eating all samosas together this weekend. Forget about that diet. We don't care about it this weekend. We need to be eating those 3 points. But Josh, mate, thank you so much for coming on today, my brother.
No worries, lads. Have a good one.
Up the Spurs. Come on,
Josh.
Big up. Is Grandpa ready to come on? Because I can see him in the back end, but I'm not sure if his camera's on. Oh, he's just disconnected. And our other guest as well is frozen.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, he's back with the smoke coming out of his nostrils. Let's bring him on. Mr. Brian Daigle. How you doing, Brian?
Oh, he's also...
Brian's also frozen.
No. Oh, he's going slow motion.
Going slow motion. Brian, if you can disconnect and reconnect, because your internet seems to be playing up a bit, and we'll go on to our next guest.
Oh, he's there. Is he there, Brian? No.
Who have we got on next?
Anyone else there?
We got Julian coming on in just a second for you guys. Just a bit of news actually coming out in the last couple of hours is that Harry Winks, who hasn't made an appearance for Sampdoria as of yet, apparently he's going to have an ankle operation, which could keep him out for even longer. So it's a sorry state of affairs with Harry Winks, and he's most likely now probably going to be back at Spurs in the summer. That's for sure.
Yeah, not great situation. Hopefully he gets his ankle sorted, but he's always had constant ankle issues, hasn't he, Harry Winks. It's always.
I
been a
mean, we knew
constant
it. Well,
problem.
Pochettino said these problems would never go away.
Yeah.
And they've just got worse, haven't they?
Yeah, and he hasn't been the same player as well. So doesn't look like we're going to be getting any money for him.
No. Let's get Brian on now, and let's see if his internet is better. Yes, much better. How you doing, Brian?
I'm very, very good, boys. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Kulusevski back in the frame for the weekend. How much of a game changer is that?
So first of all, I have to say, Simeon, great T-shirt, brother. Great T-shirt.
I've noticed, mate. Come
unbelievable. But yeah, I saw that just about 15 or whenever it broke. For me, that is the biggest bit of news we could have wished for, especially with or without the Sun news. We've seen without him fundamentally the formation and style Conte wants to play does not seem to work without Kulusevski. So whether he's a substitute that comes on and influences the game in the second half or he starts, it's incredible news for us, isn't it?
Yeah, but with him having such a lack of game time, recently, I don't know the actual stat of how many games he's played in the last 10
Hasn't
or
played
whatever.
since September.
Well, there you go. Haven't played since September. Is it a worry for you bringing him straight back in?
Put it this way, he could play 5 minutes and he would have done more than Moore has done in 180. So let's put it that way. I think we've seen since he's come in the golfing class between what we had at right wing or the position he plays compared to what we have now. And I would play a 75% fit Kulusevski if need be over 100% fit Mora and Brian Hill. Do I think he's going to have the impact immediately? That's there for all to see, but he will fundamentally change the way we play.
Yeah, definitely. So would you go for a 3-4-3? Would you stick Kane and Kulusevski up front together in a 3-5-2? What kind of, if let's say given Kulusevski's fully fit and he's available to start, what formation are you going with?
Well, I think now you've got the option of if you go 3-4-3, Sessegnon plays better in attack than he does. He used to be better in attack. Maybe we can play him as a winger, so we could do that, or we could put Perisic up there to make the third, because that was in Son's place. Isn't it just ironic that Richarlison ain't fit to cover the position he's actually best at? He finally would have had a run of games in his best position. But for me, I would go 3-4-3 and either try Sessegnon or Perisic up top. We both know that they're very good, or Perisic most definitely is superior attacking. So I would like to see a 3-4-3 in this game.
And if Bentancur, we don't know the news about Bentancur, but he was holding his hamstring going off against Marseille. If he is out, who's your double pivot then in that 3-4-3?
Do you know what? The only reason I'm going to say Ollie Skip. And the only reason I say that is Basuma so far only seems to put a run out if he comes off the bench. Every time he gets given the chance to play from the beginning, he hasn't lived up to the heights that he certainly has done when he comes off the bench. So I think Basuma to come on, whether it be in the second half or if things aren't looking right for him, like a late first half sub, maybe the better option.
How do you assess Liverpool coming into this? Obviously, they're on terrible form on the back of 2 losses against Leeds and Nottingham Forest. But what kind of threats do you think they pose to us on Sunday?
Listen, Liverpool are always a threat. They're not as razor sharp as they used to be. I actually think what they're suffering from right now is kind of what we were at the end of Poch, where these players have just played so much football over so many years without the quality replacements to rotate heavily, and that the football they play is just so attacking, and so your fitness is. I think a lot of those players are just overplayed and started to feel that. So Liverpool on their day can beat anyone. We saw it; they've been so poor, but yet they'll beat Napoli and beat Manchester City. So it just depends what Liverpool turns up, but hopefully the right Tottenham will turn up for more than 45 minutes and we'll be able to beat them. I just don't want it to be that they haven't won an away game all season. And guess what? Here they come, Tottenham Hotspur. Thank you very much. Exactly. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But I think at home, if we put in the performance we did last season in that 2-2, we'll beat them.
And Brian, we've asked every fan who's called in, Conte, a rating out of 10 for his first year in charge. What are you giving him?
So for me, what Conte's done in his first year is right up there with Moses parting the Red Sea and Noah getting 2 animals on every single one. That's what he's done. That's the miracles he has worked. I am giving him a 10. I am giving him a 10, and the sole reason I'm giving him the 10 is you look where we were when he took over ninth and in the Conference League struggling. We've got top four. We're now still in that top four race through as group leaders in the Champions League, and he's doing that with the players we've got. We know he needs better. We know how he can get better. The style of football is not the greatest, but what we wanted is to be back in the top four and doing well in the Champions League, and that would have been what his agenda or his instructions from above, and he's doing that. It doesn't matter how we're getting there or how we're doing it. Yes, the style of football isn't the greatest, and we'd all love it to improve. But what he's been brought in to do, he's doing, isn't he? And hopefully, come January, and we don't have a lot of injuries, and hopefully, I mean, this is me saying, hopefully we have a good window, whatever that means. And then the Champions League starts. We can have a whole fresh look for coming in, and God knows where we could go. Hopefully, we'll still be in both cups because we'll beat Forest. So I can't not give him a 10. If I'm going to mark him down anything, it's because of him. I've got a tattoo. So I'll give him a 9.99999.
All right. Big and score prediction, Brian?
I'm going to I'm going to go 3-1 Tottenham. I'm going to go. I'm actually going to go full out. I'm going to go 3-1. I am going to go all full out 3-1 Tottenham, and I look forward to the next game after that because I'm going to be with you two at the game.
Big up. Looking forward to it, Brian. Thank you so much for coming on today, my brother, and we'll speak to you next time.
Always a pleasure. Everyone in the chat have a wicked weekend. Just to let people know, there will be no late show this weekend. I have someone coming to visit me in Toronto. So there will be no late show, and Tottenham on Tour will be back next week. But guys, everyone, have a great weekend, and I'll see you all soon.
See you later, Brian. Big up. As always, we've got a super chat here, a members chat here from Danny Kiriakou saying, big up, lads. I'll see you boys on Sunday. I'm hoping for a draw at home considering the amount of injuries we now have. Let's hope we don't lose. Come on, you Spurs.
Damn right.
I mean, I'm going for the win, man. I'm going for the 3 points.
Look, Kulusevski definitely gives me a big boost, 100%, because it means a lot having that quality up front in the forward areas. That actually means we can hurt them going the other way. Without someone like him, and we'll have to wait and see if maybe Richarlison's also back in the squad. But if they're available, our chances of us winning increase ×5. I'm not even joking. That makes a big difference. Obviously, if they're not fully fit, we'll have to wait and see. But hopefully, if they can play a big part in this game, then we will have a really good chance of winning.
All right, let's go to our next guest. Grandpa is finally with us. Let's bring Grandpa on. How you doing, Grandpa?
Can you hear us?
I'm doing well. I've been on since the beginning.
I know you have,
so
but we couldn't see your face. You couldn't
said.
have your camera on, Grandpa.
Anyway, not to worry. Let's talk
You're
about
here
the big
now.
match.
That's the main point. You're here now. That's the main point.
I've got a point to make that I haven't heard said, and that is that what is really important is that regardless of the different strategies that you've been talking about, and I certainly agree with the 3-5-2, but because I think it's the most flexible to change into either one when needs be. But what really is important and what was shown in the last 3 games is to bring that passion that they had in the second half in all those games. Magic passion. And whether it was deliberate, I mean, there is some stories that people said, well, they wanted him to hold back, and so that they had all the energy left for the second half when the others were getting a bit weak. I don't know if that was a real strategy. Then it was brilliant. I don't believe it was, but to allow them to play so well in the first half, and then for us to come out fighting, absolutely fighting for every single ball, passing well. I mean, we were a great team, and in the second half of those 3 matches, and that is what I want to see. I want to see that passion, and the fact that we were missing actually 5. If you include Conte, we were missing with 5 of our top players in the last game.
Yeah.
with Son going early. We were missing 5. And I think that, and yet we still were able to come back with that passion and that brilliant play. So that's what I'm looking for. And that's why I'm going 2-1 to us. I think that without Romero, we'll still lose a goal. But we've got great. I would actually bring Gil on at some point, maybe a bit earlier than before, perhaps after half time. Let's see what he's made of, and he's somebody that actually can twist and turn and get around things. So that's my view. Just get that passion, and the fact that that Conte got them to get that passion, even though he wasn't there, was brilliant. I mean, I think the bench got a yellow card, didn't they?
Yeah.
By trying to be
exactly.
So I think that is.
Oh, is he cut out? Is he?
Oh
no, is he back? Is he back? He's back.
He's back. Yeah, sorry, Grandpa. I don't know what happened there.
Hey, you're back.
Anyway, that's what I've got to say to you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you tonight.
Yeah, looking forward. Just before you go, Grandpa, we're asking everyone if you rate Conte's first year in charge of Tottenham out of 10, what would you give him?
I'd give him an 8 because I think he's made some mistakes. I think he hasn't brought people on early enough, and when he's changed people, he's left it till the last minute. He hasn't given enough time to some of the coming up people. He brings them on just for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and that is no way for us to judge them. So until he's played Spence and Gill a bit fuller, I think I'm not. I think he's made that mistake, but I give him an 8 for the passion that is created and for how he's brought on Davis, Hoberg, and Dyer.
Okay. All right. 8 out of 10. Pretty good rating.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Grandpa. We'll see you later on tonight.
We'll see you tonight.
Have a good day.
Yeah. Okay, cheers. Bye.
See ya.
Cheers, Grandpa.
See ya.
Always good and positive points from my grandpa. Let's bring on our next guest, Julian.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hi, Julian. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? Sorry, Mike. Can you see me as well? It's a bit dark.
We can see you fine. We can see you fine. How are you feeling for the game this weekend?
Yeah, a little. Well, you never know at Spurs, isn't it? But I feel quietly confident. I feel like we may have turned our season around with the last 2 results. And let's say the proverbial ball's being shown now by this team, and they're finally feel that those kind of results can push the confidence. They're feeling good about being able to just take a game, take control of a game now, which is something that I feel we've been lacking. We haven't, even when we're winning, we haven't been able to control games, as I think everyone knows. But we've been able to control a couple of halves now, at least, where we're just kind of dominating the match, we're dominating the opposition, at least to some way better than we've seen before. And so, yeah, I'm feeling good about that. But as we all know, Liverpool are dangerous, and yeah, I think they're going to be cagey. They're going to come to the lane cagey, and they're going to try and play a chess match. And I think we're going to need. It's not going to be one of those games where we can do the Conte trick of coming out second half, all guns blazing type thing, which may very well be a tactic. I feel the fitness of the players has been a problem, and he's been managing that, and that's why he is so good. Because he can manage that kind of thing. Yeah, so overall, yeah, really happy that Kulu's back. But yeah.
And in terms of Kulusevski, first of all, do you think he will start, having just returned from injury, and how much of a boost is it to our chances of winning having him back?
So much. It's just when we're missing him, it's been so obvious, hasn't it? It's like he was probably our best player. I think just that star quality. You can see as soon as he gets the ball, there's a lift, right? It's like, wow, something might happen here, even if he just passes it back or whatever. But it's like, It just gives everyone a lift just for that moment, and that's what you want because he's so unpredictable. He can do pretty much anything, right? I feel, but no, unfortunately, I don't think he's going to start. What do you think?
I think he's gonna. It's a difficult one.
I think
he is gonna start.
Yeah, because I think we've been very careful with him. I think clearly, I know he had a setback, but I think he's been back in training. But we've been very careful not to take any risks. So the fact that we're calling him fit now, I think makes me feel like he is gonna be fit, able to play.
Yeah, and he came on the pitch. I think it was at half time, at full time at the Bournemouth game, and he was doing like 30 lengths off the pitch really fast, and it looked like he was fit then. And that's over a week ago.
We were told that he was ruled out of Tuesday, not more because we want to minimise risk, and actually with a view of him being available for Liverpool rather than because he was still like feeling injured. So hopefully, the fact that we've been so careful with him means that he does have a good chance of starting on Sunday.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing. That'd be
what's
real
your
I feel to the team.
Yeah, I completely agree. In terms of Liverpool, they haven't had the best of it this season, but are you worried we might be coming up against a bit of a wounded animal, or do you think that at the moment it's a good time to face them?
Yeah, I feel they're a team that can lift, they can raise their game when they want to, almost. I think as the last caller may have said, or Brian may have said, it was they're kind of what Poch, after a few years of the cycle of just relentless pressing and attacking, and that kind of requires a young and fit team. And they're coming at the end of that cycle, meaning that they're less able to prolong that type of style, which I think is part of why you've noticed our team evolved post Poch. We weren't able to keep up that style of play, so it became much more slower paced and counter attacking. And I feel maybe they're in that exact same cycle, but they can still pull it out of the bag when they have to. They're still kind of in that phase where if they need to, they can up their game. But they have had they've had fixtures the same as us with Champions League, so it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a cagey match, certainly at the start, because they tend to, when they play us, they don't, unless they're at home, and at least a lot of the times I feel we've played them. They've been a bit cagey.
What's your score prediction, Julian?
I'm going 2-1 Spurs. I reckon Dyer will get a header. Dyer will get a cheeky corner header, or he'll come off his backside or something. He'll go, and then
anything will do.
Or Harry.
Anything will do.
Exactly. And then Kulu or Harry to get the winner 85th minute or something like that.
All right, and quickly,
Conte,
rate Conte's first year in charge out of 10. What would you give him?
I'm going to say 8.75.
8.75.
The caller went 8.5, and someone went, I just want to be unique. But I think he's a little bit under 9. The only reason I think is just because we've not been able to control football matches this season as what we've been winning. Yeah. And we're doing really well. So that's the only reason. I mean, if 10, I don't think 10 would be top of the league and unbeaten, I guess. You know what I mean? So that if 10 is perfection, it's got to be somewhere like an high 8. Anyway, yeah. So,
all right.
But yeah, I love the guy, and I'm so glad that you shut down any talks of Conte out. That we do rumblings that do come around, and I think we need to unite as fans on that front because shut that down straight away.
Yeah, 100%. Completely agree. I think it's ridiculous for people to even be suggesting it. You know what I mean? It's completely ridiculous. But everyone's entitled to their opinion at the end of the day. I just think it's crazy talk. I really do. But Julian, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Have a lovely weekend.
Nice one, Julian.
And to you, mate.
Take care.
Cheers. All right, let's keep going, guys. We've got Aravind on next. Aravind, how's it going, man?
Good. How's it going with you guys?
What's with the color of the shirt today, man?
That's my college shirt, so don't worry. It's not really awesome.
You should tell your college you refuse.
Yeah, change it to the white color or something else.
But Aravind, how are you feeling about the game this weekend?
I think so. We'll win against Liverpool by a 2-1 or 3-1. I just have a confidence because every time we play against them, we play really good, but we just find a way to not get the win. I hopefully. I think so. The big positive is getting Kulusevski back. I think so he's the person who we really need in this game. If he was missing, then I would have gone for a draw. If Kulusevski is fit, I am really confident that we can get a result because he's the person who ticks the boxes. So I feel in the three, I would go with Perisic, Kane and Kulusevski. We play a 3-4-3 and play Kulusevski, Kane and Perisic, and it will be really good for us to score goals.
Okay, interesting. When you look at Liverpool right now, not haven't won an away game this season, so they're struggling for points away from home. But are you worried we might be coming up against a bit of a wounded animal, or do you think it's a good time to face them?
Look, the thing is that they're going to be really strong against us. They would want to get the win against. But I really feel this Liverpool team is a bit broken with the number of results they got. I know they've done really well in Euro, but it's really broken in the way they're performing in the Premier League. I know one game can change them that whole season. But I just feel confident because every time we play against Liverpool, even in their top form, we used to perform good games. I remember under Jose Mourinho when our team was depleted. I remember the Lo Celso miss, but still we used to perform really well even at the top of the game. So I would be a really close game, but I really feel this time our quality up front would get the better of them because every time whenever they play against us, there's some kind of not urgency, but there's some kind of like we find some way like we're just really motivated. Especially Emerson, who the only two games he's performed really well in his whole career and Spurs is against Liverpool. So I
Man
wish he
City.
does something more on this weekend.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, there's more injury selections. I know Kulusevski's back, but in terms of the midfield, you're saying 3-4-3. If Bentancur is out, because he was holding his hamstring coming off against Marseille, who would you like to take his spot?
Then I would play Bissouma and Højbjerg in the two. I know it's something we need to trust. Or else, I don't think so Skip will play in the two, but I really feel Højbjerg and Bissouma will play. If Kulusevski is back, he's 100% going to play a 3-4-3. There's no chance he's going to play a 3-5-2 because he won't want his best players to play on the pitch. And if Kulusevski can't play in the two up front, so we need to play a 3-4-3, and he'll 100%. He'll choose Bissouma and Højbjerg in the midfield,
Bissouma and
and
Højbjerg.
Seniorin as a left wing back and Perisic as a left wing because I don't think so. He trusts Lucas Moura that much also.
Did you said Spurs are going to win? Did you say a score prediction?
Yeah, 3-1.
3-1. I absolutely love that confidence. Come on,
I
Aaron.
have a feeling that Ivan Perisic may get a brace on this weekend because
Wow,
if he
brace.
plays
With a brace.
He hasn't even scored a goal
Yeah.
yet. Never mind. He's
yeah,
going
that's
for
what, that I have. If he's playing up forward, not as a left wing back, but as a left winger, he can because they're going to play a high line against us. And if he gets the space, he's a really good finisher. He can put in the back of the net because every time we play against Liverpool, we miss a lot of chances. And he's a quality finisher. He can put the ball in the back of the net. Kane
Yeah, maybe it's
assist
not
and
a bad shot.
goal.
You know what, Aravind? You sold me. Perisic is 100% scoring this weekend. 100%.
Yeah, Perisic,
think you're
he's
right.
doing it this weekend. He's look at his he's very motivated. Like he's the person who's training in the gym this weekend. I really feel he's someone who would want us to. He wants to break the duck in the goal scoring, and it's a good game for him to score a goal.
I'm changing my my captain on BetMate to Perisic on the back of your...
He is my captain already. He's my captain. Aravind, we've asked all the callers about Conte. He marked his first year in charge this week. How would you rate his first year out of 10?
8.5 out of 10. I really you need to look in two aspects. One aspect is that in terms of result wise, we see from last year we are somewhere from what we were from the Conference League and what we are right now. Yeah, there are some questions related to his style of play, but I totally depend on the quality of players he's not able to get. This is the best he can get. But still, like I would get an 8.5 because there were few results this season where it was not bad, but not that great. But still, we are third in the league, and we are in the round of 16, and there's a long way to go. And 8.5 for sure.
All right.
right.
Aravind, always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend.
And one more thing, I forgot to
Go
tell
on.
who's the third goal scorer. If I tell this, everyone is going to bash me. I have a feeling that Emerson is going to score.
I
the
knew
third
you
goal.
were going to say that.
Emerson Royale's going to score.
I have a strong feeling that Emerson, every time he plays against Liverpool, is a different beast.
True, yes.
And I have a
Liverpool.
feeling he's going to score. It's going to be a stupid goal, but he's just going to score.
He's going to overhit a cross and it'll go in.
Yeah, something. He's just going to shoot somewhere. He's going to. I remember the game when he was doing that step overs against Robertson in the in the game where Ndombele and Dele Alli. I was like, oh my goodness me, where is this player we see week in and week out? But he just turns up against Liverpool. He's like the Marcos Alonso against Tottenham. He's the Emerson against Liverpool.
I hope you're right, man. If Emerson scores on the weekend, the stadium is going to erupt. But
Yeah,
Aravind,
for sure.
thank you so much for coming on today. We'll see you next time.
Like, come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
All right, so I think that brings an end to the preview stream for you guys. Predicted lineup will be on its way to you guys, as well as Antonio's press conference, which I believe he's in right now as we speak. So thank you everyone for coming on today. Thank you all to everyone in the chat too. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always,
Come on, you Spurs.
Spurs.